Hey folks, welcome back to another video on TRK Gaming, and I'm here to show you a quick tip on moves that are minus on block. So let's just say, for example, you are playing for the Kimberly player and your opponent is Ken. Now I have some illustrations here of what the frame meter would look like. So if Ken does a move that is -4 on block, so you can see from the illustration that what this means, -4 on block, is that if you're playing for the Kimberly player, you're going to recover 4 frames ahead of him, of your opponent. So you can see that the yellow blocks actually represent when you're in block stun, so you have already come out of block stun, and the blue blocks for Ken represents his recovery frames. So he is still recovering from whatever move he was doing, and he is -4 on block, which means that you have a 4 frame advantage if you're the Kimberly player. So if that is the case, then you can simply punish the move by using any move that is a 4 frame startup. So let's just say, for example, in the case of Kimberly, the standing light is not a 4 frame startup, the crouching light is a 4 frame startup, so you can use that and that results in a punish. But what about if you're playing against an opponent and they do a move that is not -4 on block? Let's just say it's -3 on block. So what will be your normal response? Most people would just typically block, so they'll continue to block. If you're the Kimberly player, you will probably block because you don't have a button that can punish this move. You don't have a 3 frame startup move, right? Nobody in this game has one. So you will just tend to block. But because even if you look at it from this point of view, even if you try to press a 4 frame startup, it will not result in a punish if the Ken player is blocking right after his move. He has enough time to block. So then you begin to ask yourself, should I just block all of the time, or can I challenge the move? Now you can, because the next point I'm trying to show you is that you need to ask yourself one question, right? If somebody does something that is -3 on block, always think about what is the fastest move that your opponent can do. And when I say move, I'm talking about a normal attack, not necessarily an EX wake up special or an invulnerable super arts, because that will beat anything. Think about if he has a special move or a normal attack, which attack that he has or possesses that's quick. Which one is the quickest? Now for Ken, his quickest normal attack is a standing light or a crouching light, which is a 4 frame startup. Now if you realize, the 4 frame startup consists of these 3 startup frames, which are the green blocks. And if you're a little bit confused as to what the red block stands for, that is actually the 4th frame, and that's where the move actually connects or begins to connect. So that's the best way to describe it, but it's still a 4 frame startup. And that's the fastest attack that he could pull out after being -3 on block. Now, if that is the case, then that doesn't mean you always have to block after somebody does a move that is -3 on block. Think about it. You can always challenge what they're going to do, because you don't know if the person is going to mash a normal attack or try to jab or continue their pressure. So if they press a 4 frame startup, anything that is 7 frames, that has a 7 frame startup or less, if you're playing for the Kimberly player, you can use that button to check them, to keep them honest, to challenge them to see if they're mashing. So anything that is a 7 frame startup or less, and preferably based on my research, if you look at if you study Kimberly, you realize probably the best course of action will be to use a 6 frame startup, And I would say, you can use your standing strong or your crouching strong, and preferably the crouching strong is a better button to check to see if somebody's going to mash right after being -3 on block, because the crouching strong would give you a punish counter with advantage frames of 9 frames. So you can use any move that is a 9-frame startup right after you check them, and if they were mashing and you get the punish counter, you can use your standing fierce, because her standing fierce is a 9-frame startup, and you can go into a pretty decent combo, a real strong meaty combo, or you could go into drive rush from that point on and do some pretty good damage. So I will take some time to illustrate what I'm talking about right now. So let's say, for example, you're fighting against an opponent that does a move that is -1 block. Like, for example, Ken does his dash into a kick stab. And if this is not properly spaced, you can punish it because it is -4 on block. Right? So you can see that it's -4 on block. That means that for Kimberly, you can press your crouching light and get a punish counter, and it'll give you advantage frames of like 8. So you see, 8+ frames, right? So 8+ frames advantage. That means I could press something like this, which is a standing medium kick, and go into a combo of my choice, right? So I can do something like that, or I could probably go into drive rush. Let's see if I could get this correct. Or I can do something like this. Right? Not the most savvy Kimberly player out there, but you get the point. Now, what if he does something that is -3 on block? So like same dash into the overhead, -3 on block. You can see that from the frame meter, -3 on block, which means that, he is safe once he's blocking right after. So if he does it and I try to jab, this is the fastest button that I could press, and I wouldn't be able to punish him. But let's just say, for example, he is trying to mash right after, he's trying to keep up the pressure, right, by pressing a light jab. Now if you look at the frame meter properly, right, you would see after the first hit, the overhead, there is a gap, and it's a 6-frame gap. Those are the black boxes. That means that I could press my crouching medium punch to keep him honest, to see if he's mashing right after. And if I do, I could get a punish counter, and a punish counter will give me 9 additional frames, which means that I could do my standing fierce and go into a combo like this. Right, I pressed the wrong thing. Right, so you see, I have an advantage. Right, so you guys get the point, right? So just because somebody is -3 on block doesn't mean technically they are safe. They may try to be dishonest and try to keep up the pressure, knowing fully well that they cannot press a button, and you can use your other buttons to check them to see if they're mashing right after. So that's the whole point of this video, guys. So until next time, guys, keep practicing, keep training, keep getting better at Street Fighter 6, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Later.